Hello, today we're here to talk about Robot HA's role swap and how to get started with it. The first thing that we should always be familiar with is the role swap user guide. At Fortra, we want this to be a successful process for you. And when we think about a role swap, we should always think about it initially, the first few times we do it, it's a test. You want to verify that you can actually use all your hard work in setting up replications so that you can actually use it in a time of emergency. Well, first of all, we have this user guide, and I recommend you read it from cover to cover. As we scroll through here, you'll see it's a total of 29 pages, but a bunch of them are indexes and stuff, so really a pretty simple read. And then depending upon what type of role swap you're going to do, you have two choices. You have a swap while active role swap, or you have the full role swap. Before either one of them, we do need to verify some things up front. So let's go to preparing for a role swap. When we prepare for a role swap, we want to make sure that, first of all, our systems are set up in the proper mode that we want. Our applications, we know how to shut down our applications that we might be shutting down. All those things that we don't know about as a vendor. We don't know your applications. You know your applications. Then we can compare things. We want to make sure that our TCP/IP and all those things have been set up correctly. They should have been from the get-go, but it's pretty obvious if they're not working. Obviously, you won't be replicating. And then step 3 is important to check to make sure that all your sync attributes are in the right status. We'll walk through this in a little bit. Same with your configuration information in the product. I'll show you that. That's relatively simple. Also that we're replicating a library called RSF user, Robot HA. And then another big thing is startup programs. Often people don't think about this, but your source side, your prod side, should have a different startup program than your backup side. And the reason is because you want to not be running production jobs over on your backup server. You want it to be down so that your replication can run properly. And then there's also the role swap audit job that we have that we can run in step 8. So that's good. So like I said, there's a couple different role swaps. I'm going to jump down to the full role swap, and that's where we're going to begin. I'm going to show you this live today. In order to verify things, we need to think about some things up front. We have to have two workstations that are connected to both the prod side and the backup side. And they need to be defined as by 27 by 132 so we can work with the work attributes. And then we also need console devices. So we'll need two console devices, one for prod and one for backup. Again, this is a planned role swap. So with a planned role swap, we're actually going to start the role swap on the production side and wrap it up on the backup side. So first things we're going to do is sign off. Well, we're actually going to make sure all of our attributes are set the way we want them. Assuming we've done all that. And then we're going to go through some steps in here to actually start the role swap on the production side. And then we're going to go to the backup side and we're going to do a very similar set of things. Again, this process here runs from the console device on your server. So you need to have a console for production, a console for backup. Now we're ready. We've got a little bit familiar with the user guide. Our goal again is to make sure that your life is easy and repeatable when it comes to doing a role swap using Robot HA. Okay, so now we've read through the user guide. We're happy with the process that we're going to be doing for a role swap. So let's actually execute a role swap. So the first thing I'm going to do is I know I'm running my Insight server over here, and I need to end my TCP/IP server for Robot HA because we're using it for doing some queries and stuff against the Robot HA database. So I ended that. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to pop through Robot HA on my production side and make sure my sync times are pretty good here. Everything looks no errors in my error column. And as I roll through here, I'll see everything looks good, pretty up to date. I might submit my config again just to bring that up to date in case anybody added a user profile or any other system configuration item. And I might as well sync my private authorities and my user profiles then. So here we go. That's all running. That should be up to date here in just a bit. All good to go. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready. I've done my testing, my audit. I have my production system. And if I sign over here on my target system, I will see my system here is set to backup. So we need a production and a backup. We're good. So at this point, I sign off of both sides. So I don't lock any files within Robot HA because I was in the menu system. And then again, we have our bottom sessions here, which are our console devices running on Able and Elba. They're running in Q Control. So now I can go into Robot HA and start my role swap. I'm going to do option 7. My users are off the system. Option 10. And I'm going to do yes, I want to do my role swap. That's going to start the process. It's going to end the sync jobs. So as a reminder, those sync jobs are the jobs that are on the job queue on RSFHA that are running the process of looking to see if anything has changed on the system. And so those take a little bit to clear off the job queue and make sure that we end them nicely. We're down to 11 now. Now we're working on the remote journals where we're talking to the other server. And we're removing the remote journals on the backup system at this point, verifying that we can communicate. At this point, what we're doing is we're looking at bringing back the Robot HA settings from the backup system to the production side. So remember, we want to now set production as backup. So we're going to modify those settings. By the way, if you did have a failure and you just wanted to switch over, I say just, you had a failure and you want to switch over, you can just run the role swap from your backup system and switch it over so you can start doing business right away while you fix the problem on the failed server. I often get that question, but okay, do I have to do it from prod? What happens if prod goes away? Of course, prod's gone. We're importing some of the settings, setting our manual sync points. There we go. Able is now set up as the backup system. So I'm going to go down to a command line there. And now I'm going to go over to Elba and I'm going to switch Elba to become the production system. In order to do that, I'm going to go in and do a role swap of the now backup system still, and I'm going to make it production. Here we go. Again, we're running that out of a console device. And it's going to run probably a little faster because there's less sync jobs that it has to end and a few other things. So the switching the backup side to prod usually goes a little faster. And the idea then is it's going to restore the settings for Robot HA over on the old backup system. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. So now we've switched the backup to be prod. Okay, so we got that all done. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to sign off both of my consoles. I'm going to sign on then to Elba, which is now my new production system, or it should be. So we should see all the rules there. Go into Robot HA, option 1. And yes, indeed, we see all of our rules that existed on the backup side. We do F11. There's our IFS rules. And there's our system rules. And so at this point in time, we'd be ready to start Elba up as a production environment. And if we look over on our Able system, we'll see that it is now set up as the backup. It only has a few rules in it now. The other thing that we want to do is work with our job queue entries. At this point, if we want to start replication up, one of the things we're going to have to do is release the RSFHA job queue because that's been put on hold. So after we release the job queue on both systems, we are ready now to do our testing. After our testing is all done, we would just simply do another full role swap. Thank you for joining me today on role swapping.